Imagine being told you are free, but still not allowed to vote, learn in equal schools, live where you choose, or walk safely down the street. Imagine surviving slavery only to enter a new century filled with fear, segregation, and violence. For millions of black people in the early 1900s, this was not imagination, it was reality. Introduction. The 20th century began with broken promises. Although slavery had officially ended decades earlier, black communities across the world were still trapped in systems designed to keep them powerless. In the United States, Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation, while lynchings spread terror. Across Africa and the Caribbean, European colonial powers controlled land, labor, and lives. Yet, in the face of injustice, black people refused to disappear. They built schools, created art, organized movements, and demanded dignity. Black history in the 1900s is not only a story of suffering, it is a story of courage, resistance, and transformation. From the legacy of slavery to the rise of civil rights, this period reveals how people once treated as property reshaped nations and changed the course of history. Got it. This is a big topic, and I'll give you a long, detailed, easy-to-understand essay covering the legacy of slavery, * black life entering the 1900s, * segregation and Jim Crow, * education and culture, * major leaders, * resistance and progress, * daily struggles, * global black history, not only America, black history in the 1900s, and the legacy of slavery. Introduction. Black history in the 20th century cannot be understood without first understanding slavery. Although slavery officially ended in many countries during the 1800s, its effects lasted far into the 1900s and continue to shape societies today. For millions of black people across the world, especially in the United States, the Caribbean, Africa, and parts of South America, the 20th century began not with freedom and equality, but with discrimination, poverty, violence, and exclusion. The 1900s were a time of struggle and transformation. Black communities fought for basic human rights while also building powerful cultures, institutions, and movements. Despite facing racism, segregation, and economic hardship, black people created art, literature, music, political movements, and social change that reshaped the modern world. This essay explores the history of black people in the 1900s, beginning with the legacy of slavery and moving through the major challenges and achievements of the century. The legacy of slavery was one of the darkest chapters in human history. From the 1500s through the 1800s, millions of Africans were captured, sold, and transported across the Atlantic in brutal conditions. This system, known as the transatlantic slave trade, supplied forced labor to European colonies in the Americas. Enslaved Africans were treated as property, not people. Families were separated, languages were suppressed, and cultures were attacked. Slave owners used violence to control enslaved people, including whipping, branding, and even murder. By the late 1800s, slavery had been abolished in most Western countries. In the United States, slavery ended in 1865 after the Civil War. However, freedom did not bring equality. Former slaves were left without land, money, or education. Laws and social systems quickly developed to keep black people powerless. In the U.S., these systems included * black codes, * Jim Crow laws, * sharecropping, convict leasing, These policies ensured that black Americans remained poor and dependent. In many ways, slavery simply transformed into new forms of control. Entering the 1900s, life after slavery. As the 20th century began, black people faced severe discrimination. Segregation separated black and white communities in schools, transportation, housing, and public spaces. Violence against black people was common, including lynchings carried out by white mobs. Black Americans were denied voting rights through literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation. Many lived in rural poverty, working as farm laborers or domestic servants. Yet black communities also showed incredible resilience. Churches, schools, and mutual aid societies became centers of support. Families passed down traditions, music, and stories that preserved cultural identity. Despite limited opportunities, many black people pursued education and self-improvement. Historically, black colleges and universities, HBCUs, played a crucial role in training teachers, doctors, lawyers, and leaders. Jim Crow and racial terror. Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation throughout the southern United States. These laws declared that black and white people must remain separate but equal, although black facilities were always inferior. Racial terror was used to maintain white supremacy. Between 1880 and 1930, thousands of black Americans were lynched. These murders were public, brutal, and rarely punished. They served as warnings to black communities to remain submissive. Many black families fled the South to escape violence and poverty. This movement, called the Great Migration, saw millions relocate to northern and western cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Los Angeles. Although these cities offered better jobs, racism followed them. Black neighborhoods were overcrowded and underfunded. Employers paid black workers less, and police discrimination was common. Black life around the world. Black history in the 1900s was not limited to the United States. Africa. Much of Africa remained under European colonial rule at the start of the century. African people were forced to work in mines and plantations while Europeans controlled land and resources. Throughout the century, African leaders organized independence movements. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa fought colonialism and apartheid. Leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Nelson Mandela became symbols of resistance. Caribbean. In the Caribbean, descendants of enslaved Africans struggled against colonial governments. Labor uprisings and political movements eventually led to independence for many islands. Latin America. Countries such as Brazil and Cuba also carried deep racial inequalities. Although slavery ended earlier, black populations continued to face discrimination in housing, employment, and education. Education and cultural growth. Despite oppression, black communities built rich cultural traditions. The Harlem Renaissance. In the 1920s, Harlem and New York became a center of black art and thought. Writers like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston celebrated black identity through poetry and novels. Musicians such as Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong transformed jazz into a global art form. This movement showed the world that black culture was powerful, creative, and worthy of respect. Black press and media. Black newspapers such as the Chicago Defender gave voice to issues ignored by mainstream media. They reported on lynchings, promoted civil rights, and encouraged migration to northern cities. Economic struggles. Most black families lived in poverty during the early 1900s. Discriminatory hiring practices limited job opportunities. Black workers were often assigned the most dangerous and lowest paying roles. The Great Depression of the 1930s hit black communities especially hard. Many lost jobs, homes, and savings. Government programs often excluded black citizens or provided them fewer benefits. Even after World War II, when America experienced economic growth, black families were largely shut out of housing loans and suburban development. Resistance and civil rights. Black resistance never stopped. Early leaders like Booker T. Washington emphasized economic self-help, while W.E.B. Du Bois demanded full political rights. Organizations such as the NAACP fought segregation through the courts. By the 1950s and 1960s, the civil rights movement gained momentum. Ordinary people organized boycotts, sit-ins, and marches. Key moments included Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, Montgomery Bus Boycott, 1955, March on Washington, 1963, Civil Rights Act 1964, Voting Rights Act, 1965. Leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and many others challenged racism with courage and determination. Black power and identity. During the late 1960s, younger activists embraced black power, promoting pride, self-defense, and community control. Groups like the Black Panther Party provided free breakfasts, health clinics, and education programs. The movement encouraged black people to reject shame and celebrate African heritage. Toward the end of the century, by the late 1900s, legal segregation had ended, but inequality remained. Black communities continued to face mass incarceration, police brutality, and economic gaps. Still, progress was visible. Black leaders entered government, universities expanded access, and black artists shaped global culture through hip-hop, film, and literature.